Welcome to the Kickass Couples Podcast. This is the place where we help committed couples who want to level up their marriage experience newfound clarity, hope, and confidence. We're Matthew and Kim, co-hosts and husband and wife.
In 26 years together, we've seen a lot and never thought it could be as good as it is right now. We're here to help you successfully navigate the messy, dirty, and wonderful world of marriage.
We believe all couples deserve and are capable of experiencing an extraordinary and fulfilling marriage. And each week, we're bringing you life lessons from real-life successful couples to help you grow and strengthen your relationship.
We'll get started right after this message.
If you want to learn how to experience the best, most fulfilling year of your marriage, we invite you to order Matthew's new book, Kickass Husband, Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. You can get it at Amazon.com or visit Matthew's website, www.matthewphoffman.com. Again, that's Amazon.com or www.matthewphoffman.com. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the Kickass Couples Podcast. Today we have a real treat for you. We're being joined by Rabbi Shlomo Slatkin and his wife Rivka, and they really walk their talk. 20 years ago, they saved their marriage by going through Imago couples therapy. That experience transformed their relationship and led them to a higher calling. Today, they lead thousands of couples through their no blame, no shame marriage restoration project weekend retreats that help partners reignite their passion and commitment. In today's recap edition episode, Kim and I will share our key takeaways from our interview with this dynamic couple. We'll break down concepts, relationship qualities, and key pillar points that they've used to build their rock-solid relationship that will stand the test of time. We're excited to be back with you today here on the Kickass Couples Podcast, where Kim and I have the pleasure of talking about a really fun and interesting couple, Shlomo and Rivka Slatkin. He's a rabbi, and they are married in the middle of it with 5 kids, and what a fun time we had with them and learned just a ton.
I really enjoyed speaking with this couple. I thought that they had a lot of great pearls to share with all of us, and can't wait to get to dive into really kind of breaking down that episode.
So much good stuff there, and so humble and giving with their own journey and what they went through. And I think, Kim, do you want to go ahead and set us up? Like, there's some interesting background here with their relationship and where they came from.
I agree. I think that what's really important to note with this couple is that they both realized after about a year into their marriage that they weren't sure if they were going to make it. They were struggling and recognized that they really needed some help. And so they sought outside help and actually went to someone who was able to help them with a therapy called Imago therapy. And they used this Imago therapy to help save their marriage. They recognized they needed the help, they sought the help, and then they were ready and willing to do the work that it was going to take to bring about healing and really growth in their relationship.
And if you listen to the whole interview, and we'll address it a little bit later when we get deeper into our recap today, Imago therapy, one of the tenets or main principles in Imago therapy is that conflict in a relationship, no matter what kind of a relationship, is an opportunity. It's not a bad thing. And so it embraces that and teaches you how to navigate that and use those opportunities to strengthen the relationship and deepen the bonds, as opposed to getting around it, not dealing with it. And we learned a lot, and we'll address that as we get deeper into this, Kim. But what was kind of your first takeaway, or what was something that was meaningful to you from our time with Shlomo and Rivka?
Well, I think one of the things that that really hit me hard was talking about history in their relationship. I recognized that Rivka really had a tough upbringing, that she grew up in a family where her mom and dad actually hated each other, couldn't stand each other. And, there was a lot of volatile things that were going on, a lot of yelling and screaming and fighting. And she said they would fight for hours. And just on and on, so much as that they would just forget about their kids. And a lot of the needs of their kids weren't being met because they were just so busy arguing and fighting. And I can only imagine as a young person how destructive that could be to you and to, just your family, to see that ongoing an unpleasant situation that you find yourself in day after day. So I think bringing that history to her relationship where she is now really had an impact on their marriage.
A lot of baggage for sure, she said. And I think, we all have baggage and we all bring different things to the relationship. And it's really important to unpack that as early as possible, ideally before you're married. And I think that probably what they shared with us was that they hadn't unpacked a lot of that. And then they got married and boy, did it come up and surface.
Sure.
And they had to learn how to deal with it.
And especially since he had the complete opposite. He can't really remember a lot of arguing in his family. His father was very calm, and his parents expressed physical affection with one another. And so I feel like he came from a much healthier background. And so when you put those two backgrounds together, I think that's when the conflict can arise, and it gets rocky and it gets hard to navigate.
It does. It does. I think one of that kind of leads into our first pillar, and the first point I wanted to make, Kim, was that Rivka said, and I thought this was so dear and sweet and endearing, that she learned about commitment from Shlomo because it wasn't modeled in her family growing up. And she said she knew what to expect. She felt it expressed from him, and she really got to see it modeled in their relationship, and she didn't have it. And it was so important for her to have that with him. And that she kind of felt like the reason their commitment was so strong is because he was that calm, consistent influence, always being there and present, giving her what she needed in the moment.
Sure. And I think through Imago therapy, she really learned how to take those things that he was modeling for her and put them to work in her own life. Yeah. And in the relationship as well. So I love when we're willing to accept influence, what can happen in our relationship.
And I think it was really cool. She said, a lot of people hit the tough times in your relationship, and you may have those thoughts of like, why am I here? I don't think I want to go through this. This is hard.
What are we doing?
And you start to go, well, maybe the grass is greener over there. She said, you know what? She goes, you're going to have baggage no matter where you are and where you go.
So
why not just deal with it where you are and invest and make what you have the best it can be? She said, the grass is greener where it's watered and cared for. Mm-hmm. So instead of wandering and thinking, it's hopium, if you think that relationship's going to be better, or if you'll be able to find it easier someplace else. So if you take care of it and nurture and address and have those discussions, you can have a relationship where you are right now that is meaningful and rewarding. And that's what they were working towards. And, further speaking about commitment, she said it's kind of an irony that commitment is freeing, because you think when you commit to something, you're being limited or locked down.
In, yeah.
But she said, but when you commit to the relationship, you're free because you don't have to worry about the doubts of, is this person going somewhere? Are they not going to be here for me? If you know they're genuinely committed and you are, you can just start working without that fear, because you're going to make it. I love that
picture, how you just shifted that thought from, commitment sometimes being perceived as being very negative, how it really is positive and super freeing and safe, right?
Yeah. And that was, and I think one of the dangerous things that come about in a relationship, and this came up when we talked about commitment, is she said, she would look at Rivka said, I'd look at other couples and man, they're on vacation, and you look at Facebook and everybody's relationship from afar looks perfect or better because we miss the warts and the bruises and the scars, right? And that's why comparisons, I think that's not a subtle thing. Comparisons are dangerous and really unhealthy, because your relationship is your relationship, and it's not going to look or feel like anybody else's, but it's your best in what you have and what you're getting. Someone else's good wasn't made for you, so you had to really focus on what you have in your own relationship and stop the comparisons, because your relationship will not measure the same, look or feel the same as somebody else's, but it's yours and it's unique to you, and learning how to be happy in that
relationship. Yeah. I think that one thing that we have learned through this whole process and all of the interviews that we've done, and in our own relationship as well, is that there is no such thing as a perfect relationship.
No way.
That it takes work on a daily basis. But if you're committed to doing the work, then there can be such beautiful things that can unfold from a committed relationship.
And that's why it kind of feels hard sometimes, right? Because you're always on. There's never, especially like with the term of commitment, you can't be committed most of the time and just decide not to be other times. It's not okay. And I think it's just getting used to that idea that it's a work in progress, and it's more of the journey than the destination, right? We don't reach that mountaintop and go, oh, I've made it. I'm here. Yeah. Let's kick back, stop working, because that's when the backslides happen, or those subtle changes in the rudder of the relationship, right? But then over time, as you and I felt in our own relationship, it's those subtle changes over time that just turn into big issues when they're not dealt with.
Yeah, for sure.
When it comes to creating a kick-ass marriage, do you ever wonder what you could be doing better? Have you ever thought how helpful it would be to be a part of a like-minded community of other imperfect couples who want to level up in their number one relationship? Come visit Kickass Couples Nation, where you can talk with people just like you who are looking for ways to invest in and increase their joy, commitment, and fulfillment in their most important human relationship. You'll have access to a team of licensed marriage therapists, coaches, articles, podcasts, live webinars, and more. Just visit MatthewPHoffman.com so you can learn more about a community that's ready to help you level up. That's MatthewPHoffman.com so you can become of the growing Kick-Ass Couples Nation right now.
Sure. I think another thing that really stood out to me in this particular interview was, again, kind of going back to Imago therapy, is the conflict resolution. I think that, one of the things that Shlomo said that he actually quoted is that conflict is the vehicle in which can create healing and growth in a relationship. And I think that when it's done in the right way, when it's handled in the right manner, that conflict is really such an opportunity. Wouldn't you agree?
It is. And it doesn't always feel or look that way, though, right? Because it's kind of,
it's uncomfortable.
Most people, I don't know. There's not many people who go, I love conflict, or I just want to embrace it and step into it. Usually it's like, ooh, get me out of here. It's uncomfortable. And people mostly want to step to it. And I think, didn't he also said that conflict is a call to connection? And I just think that's, if you're, the whole idea of a paradigm, right? Your paradigm is like how you think and feel about something. And if we can all change our paradigm relative to conflict, that it's a call. It's your spouse's way of saying, I got to connect with you. We're not on the same page. Mm-hmm. We haven't reached understanding.
Right.
And that's why there's conflict. So it's really, conflict is an opportunity for us to lean in to our spouse and get better understanding about them and learn how to work through it.
And I love that Shlomo said when we actually listen, when we really truly listen to each other, that the other person actually many times makes perfect sense. That is when you're really listening. And then whatever resistance or whatever conflict we're having, it seems to kind of go down a little bit.
Yeah.
And that a lot of times it's not even about what we did. It's just a deeper issue being triggered. And we talk about that a lot, that it's usually not about taking out the trash. It's that I haven't been heard, or maybe I haven't been seen, or you're not listening to me very well in this moment.
And I think, this is a Gottman principle. Chris Cambus talks about it a lot. John Gottman does too. He says, when we're in the conflict, what are we pursuing? What is the dream within the conflict? In other words, the conflict, and we'll talk about Rivka and Shlomo had kind of a funny one in her experience in a minute, but it's not usually what's on the surface or what's presenting, right, as the issue. It's usually something out of the past. And I think that, I think it was Shlomo that said it. He said, if it's hysterical, it's historical. So if if one of you is just off the handle and off the chain and going
childhood
crazy,
issue right there.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, boy, something's unresolved here. Let's go back so we can go forward. And it's about understanding, right? Conflict is not about, did you win the day? Did your opinion prevail? Did my opinion prevail? What's it really about?
Right. I mean, we've got to really get deeper, and we have to figure out what is going on and what the trigger is. And again, it's an opportunity to grow and an opportunity to become closer, to really understand each other at a really intimate level. Yeah. And what I thought they used a really great example. Rivka there was a hole in their closet wall, I guess, from a closet rod that had come out, and had walked by the rod, or actually now the hole in the wall, many times over the course of months, and kept saying to Shlomo, I really would like us to get that hole in the wall fixed. Can we please get the hole in the wall fixed? And she'd walk by it again a few days later. Shlomo, what are we doing about the hole in the wall? Have you made, what are we doing? Are you going to fix it? What's happening? And I think a lot of time went by, and at this point they were getting therapy, and they brought it up in therapy. What are we doing about the hole in the wall? The hole in the wall still exists. And I think it really was, at the end of the day, they realized is that it had nothing to do with the hole in the wall, that she wasn't being seen or heard. And it really was blocking her ability. And this was from past triggers, right? Not being seen and heard as a child now is coming into play here. Shlomo isn't listening. He's not hearing me. This hole in the wall is still there. And so it was really bugging her. It was really triggering things from her past. And I think that what's so funny is that, they ended up calling a handy person to come and fix it. But she said, I was so paralyzed by, he's not doing this, he's not doing this, he's not doing this, that I wasn't even able to figure out for my own self that all we really needed to do is call a handy person to come in and fix it.
Right. And I think she shared too, she said, the issue, why that was so important to her, she figured out in some of the therapy, is that as a child, she had to do everything for herself. She was on her own. So if it was going to happen, she had to do it. And she just wanted to be taken care of in the moment to prove to herself that she had someone that cared enough for her to do something that was important to her. And I think once she realized what that was and related to Shlomo, he became aware, right? It's not about the rod. It's not about the hole in the wall. It's important to me, to her, that she has someone that cares for her and can take care of things for her because she didn't receive that. Mm-hmm. And so when he learns through understanding that that's a landmine and a trigger for her, he can actively work to meet her where she is and give her what she needs. And they both learned a lot from that experience, even though it's kind of a funny story.
It comes back to safe communication, right? Being able to tell your partner in that moment what you really need, what's really going on underneath.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the kind of the closeout points for me, Kim, in this interview with them, one thing I loved is, we always ask the question, what would you say to your pre-married self? Like, okay, with your experience and knowledge you have right now. Mm-hmm. And Shlomo said, be flexible and have no expectations. Be present, be happy if you can. And if you do those things, you'll have success in your relationship. And I think that's great. Flexibility means not my way or the highway. No expectations, meaning you're unconditionally loving and giving to your spouse. And so you're not doing it because, hey, if I do this for her, then she's going to owe me or it'll be her turn to give to me. And that is a beautiful dance in a relationship. Kim and I have a tradition that we started way back when we got married of giving each other foot rubs. And it is the coolest thing. We both love it, right? I don't know who loves it more. I would say that I do, but she would probably say she does. But it's so cool when she'll come and say, hey, we're going to watch a show tonight and I'm going to rub your feet. And the other one, I always say, no, you don't have to do it tonight. Or if I say to her, she goes, no, you just relax. But we're doing something because we both know physical touch is a way we like to be loved. So we're both consistently working on giving each other what we know we need and what our love language is. And that is being flexible. And there's no expectation that the next day the other spouse is going to do it for the other person, but it's just a great reminder. It's one of the many ways that we can fill the love tank and give to our spouse.
Yeah. And I wanted to bring up one more point before we close, because I thought it was really sweet. And it was Rivka talking about spillover of their success, of the success of their relationship spilling over into other parts of their lives. And one of the things that she said, that through all this therapy and through the healing and growth of her relationship, is that she's really learned how to relate and understand other people better as well. And so I thought that was a beautiful thing, in that she may not necessarily agree with other people's thoughts, opinions, or whatever, but she's really learning how to understand their stories and how to respect differences. And it has really brought about a lot more compassion and, again, understanding for others. And then, of course, that's spilling into their children as well. And they have 5 children. Like you said, they're very busy.
Zone coverage, baby.
Exactly. But then also, that goes into relationships as well as business. So I thought that was an important thing to point out as well.
It was a beautiful concept. And I think, Kim, she kind of built on it a little more and talked about being open.
Yeah.
And having a sense of wonder without judgment. Hey, that's not what I think, but what can I learn from that? And what can I take away from it? And why would someone feel that way? And how can she learn more to relate to others who may have a similar feeling?
Yeah. The world would be a better place if we all had more of a sense of wonder, I feel.
I agree. And I think that, Kim, it's so interesting. And this couple is a couple. We've had a few stories of redemption in the people that we've had the privilege of speaking with. Yeah. And what I loved about Shlomo and Rivka is that they showed they didn't have all the tools. They thought they were going to be so different than their parents and take the best and leave the worst behind. But it required them going through some serious therapy, which they now give. They have Imago therapy, and They do that for other.
Came full circle for them. I love that they are actually training and they are therapists themselves.
They are, and they're out there doing it and giving back. And I think it's so important. When this episode comes out, we're going to be officially launching Kickass Couples Nation. And Kim and I have used and searched and looked for a lot of resources that couples can use. And there's some great counseling out there, and there's some things here and there. But we've really developed Kickass Couples Nation to be that community, to be that team where there are licensed marriage therapists, there's articles, there's podcasts, there's blogs, there's exclusive content, there's posts, there's things you can do right now. And we're creating a community so you can build your team, because it does take a village and a team of people to keep investing in, keeping it fresh, get ideas, and prioritizing that number one relationship. So if you haven't checked it out, please go to MatthewPHoffman.com. Look at Kickass Couples Nation. We've got some great promotions going on right now, and we're doing webinars twice a month and having some fantastic deep dives.
So much resource there. I hope that our community of followers really go and check this out, because there is such valuable resources at this website.
We look forward to sharing it with you as we grow and learn together. And thanks for joining us this time. If you haven't heard the full interview, please go back and check out Shlomo and Rivka Slatkin, a fun couple with great things to share.
Absolutely.
And how you can prioritize your spouse. And thanks for joining us. If you like this episode, please like us and let us know you did, and share it with somebody else. We want to grow and help more people. And we hope you remember that happily ever after does not just happen. It's on purpose.
It is.
We'll see you next time.
That's all we've got for this episode of the Kickass Couples Podcast. If you like the content of this show, you'll love Matthew's newly released book, Kickass Husband, Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. To receive a digital mini book of quotes and images from the book, All you have to do is rate this show and leave a review in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Then email us a screenshot of your review at podcast@kickasscouplespodcast.com, and we'll get it over to you right away. Until next time, remember, happily ever after doesn't just happen, it's on purpose.